Thank you. The ranking member yields back. Now I recognize Dr. Bucshon for his 5 minutes of questioning.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for calling today's hearing. That's an important step in establishing a clear federal regulatory framework for autonomous vehicles in the United States. While we are years from broad deployment, I hesitate to call this an emerging technology because it is already being utilized across our country with more than 44 million miles traveled here. While the United States has been a leader in developing various autonomous driving technologies that can help make our roads safer, our competitors abroad in Europe and China are closing the gap with us as developers in the U.S. are stuck in regulatory purgatory. That didn't sound quite right, but regulatory purgatory. One technology that I believe is critical in the future of this industry is lidar, or light detection and ranging, that uses pulsed lasers to map the surrounding environment. In 2018, the United States had over 85% of the lidar market share worldwide. Today, we have less than 50%. China has identified this as a key enabling technology in its Belt and Road strategy and is increasing their production at a feverish pace. They know this technology will not only be pivotal in technologies like AVs, but also in public transportation, industrial automation, defense, and more. This seems eerily similar to 20 years ago when the CCP recognized how critical semiconductors would be and took steps to dominate the market. Today, we are still struggling with that aftermath. We cannot let this happen again with lidar or any AV technologies. So, Mr. Shapiro, do you think that enacting legislation like the Self-Drive Act will help boost U.S. production of critical technologies like lidar and prevent such bottlenecks from happening again?
I think that the legislation going forward on SCTV as proposed will be a great big step in ensuring that does not happen, because the alternative is there's not going to be a lot of investment in the U.S. in self-driving. In terms of the specific focus on specific ingredient technologies like lidar technology, you'd have to look at the patent portfolio ownership and see if patents are being violated. I think there's different steps that government can take if it's seeking to protect a critical part of a supply chain like lidar, or as has been done with chips. But that's a policy decision. I think the important thing is that we go forward and start letting companies know that this is going to be mass-produced technology so they can invest in the United States and manufacture in the United States.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the critical thing, investment in the United States, and we certainly don't want to inhibit that. Mr. Bozzella, do you think that U.S. manufacturers will be able to meet the production caps proposed in Representative Lada's discussion draft before the committee today?
Yes, I do, but I'm more concerned that if we don't expand those exemptions and provide a bridge to test and deploy at scale, that there are going to be fewer companies doing less innovation here in the United States.
And do you think, are there any other regulatory hurdles that this legislation should address to ensure that they can?
Yes, we should ensure that the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration does the hard but necessary and critical work of modernizing federal motor vehicle safety standards.
Great. I mean, my hope would be that this increased production would lead to more AV deployments in rural areas like Indiana's 8th District. As an example, well, it seems like I'm getting a lot of laughs today for some reason, where individuals with impaired vision or other disabilities, the elderly and every Hoosier, would be able to benefit from AVs. I mean, rural America has been addressed, right, and it's critical. It's a bigger challenge probably than urban America is. So, Mr. Riccobano, would you agree that implementing the national regulatory framework like the Self-Drive Act would accomplish this goal of increasing access in rural America to individuals who have impaired vision or other disabilities?
Yeah, 100%, especially with accessibility and the inclusion of the wisdom of people with disabilities being central to it. So I agree.
Thank you. I also, just in closing, I want to make sure that safety is a critical issue, and we obviously do not want to overlook that, and that's something I think we can find solutions For also, you know, the displacement of workers potentially is another thing we can find solutions to. And I think ultimately, at the end of the day, it will create more jobs out there. But it will increase access to the roadways for the people that we have discussed and improve safety. Thank you. Yield back.
The gentleman yields back. Now recognize Representative Clark from the great state of New York for your 5 minutes.